Welcome to another episode of Raven Conversations. I'm Joe C. Mandel, State Public Affairs Officer for the Washington National Guard. And today I'm joined by First Sergeant Craig Gocha. He is the First Sergeant for Bravo Company 156 Information Operations Battalion. You're a traditional guardsman. You work at Expedia full-time. Kind of have a nice, diverse background in your civilian career. And you're going to talk to us about how that's kind of helped you along your way in the Guard and how they kind of crossed over. So thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been a unique journey, I would say. You know, when I was a kid, I always knew I wanted to be in law enforcement. So I when I hit 17 in high school, I'm like, well, what do I want to do to bridge that time gap? Mm-hmm. So me and my two best friends, we ended up joining the National Guard on the aviation side, doing operations for them to bridge that gap. And I did some time as a recruiter aide. I spent time on the numerous years on the counter-drug program, which was an amazing experience. And then I had the privilege of deploying with 168th to Iraq in 07-08 with my friends and did some cool stuff over there. And then when I came back, I switched over to IO.
Yeah. So, and then civilian side, you were with Pierce County Sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of explain how that...
Yeah, so I started applying for law enforcement careers when I got back from Iraq in 07-08. Well, of course, the whole massive recession hit, so you kind of went wherever you could get hired. Mm-hmm. I got picked up by the city of Yakima, which I had never been to, except for AT, funny enough, was the only time I'd been to Yakima prior. And from there, I did a few years there before coming back home to Puyallup. And I ended up as a detective with the Pierce County Sheriff's Department before leaving in 2021.
Yeah. So then kind of talk about, you were with Amazon for a little while, mm-hmm. And now you're with Expedia. Kind of talk about that and how that kind of all came about.
In 2021, had a good chat with the wife and a few mentors and decided to try to branch out and take my experience to the private sector. I was hired on with Amazon as one of their worldwide counterfeit crime units, fake reviews investigators.
Oh, wow.
So essentially we would take the websites and people that set up fake reviews on the products on Amazon and worldwide go against them criminally and civilly. So we'd set up numerous joint litigations across 13 countries in Europe or in Asia and try to hit them in the pocketbooks where it hurts so that we can keep the sellers safe on the Amazon side.
Yeah. So kind of crazy to say that that's actually a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we all probably go on Amazon, we buy products on there and we leave a review, right? It's usually probably about 5 words and that's it with like, hey, 5 stars, looks great, love it. And but there's actually a job that Amazon has that goes after those folks that have fake reviews.
Oh, absolutely. The team with the counterfeit crime unit does a phenomenal job trying to go after hard product counterfeits like, fake grills on vehicles or fake filters for your hot tubs that could cause damage or death to people. But on the other side, the algorithms that they use for reviews equates to money for people, right? Yeah. So you have mom and pop shops that set up on Amazon to sell items, and now these fake reviewers are trumping them with those reviews. So we go in there and try to help the sellers out a lot. So it was a very unique, fun time there. I had a blast.
Yeah. And now you're at Expedia. Mm-hmm. Talk about that and what you do there.
Yeah. So Expedia came to me with an offer I couldn't refuse in July of last year. So I've been there almost a year. And I'm a program manager running planning for their loyalty org and then their search and content org. So everything from how loyalty points work and how the user experience, the customer experiences the platform on the loyalty side to how the back end Elasticsearch algorithms work for your content. So
yeah. So talk about like very very similar, right? I'm an IO guy as well as an MI guy. I've gone through the schools. How do you go from working on helicopters to becoming an IO practitioner?
So unique experience that kind of was a stumbling upon chance. As soon as I got back from Iraq, where I was started off as the battle NCO, which I just ran the operations side on the for the aviation, and then in the last half I was a door gunner on Blackhawks. When I came back, my old recruiter that I was a recruiter aide for had started in this unit that wasn't even officially stood up yet. Mm-hmm. to work with them, and I was able to do something that I've always wanted to do, which was psychological operations. Psychological operations, you take a demographics needs, wants, and desires, and you try to utilize that in order to get them to do or not do and change behaviors. Very interesting stuff. I equate it to marketing 101 on the civilian side, right? Knowing your target audience, knowing what makes them tick, and then utilizing that to change behavior.
Yeah.
And so something I really wanted to do, well, that is not normally a job field in the Guard. We don't have any full-on PSYOP units. That's a reserve and active duty thing. So by going over to the IO, Information Operations Unit, I was able to pick up that MOS and really stretch my brain cells and my usage of that across the board. And it's led to some amazing things because we do a lot of support for major exercises in Indo-PACOM through Asia and the Pacific Islands. And then we also have teams always abroad, and we deploy in small teams, and we go help, whether it be a special operations task force somewhere or an embassy mission somewhere. We're always able to go and do that. And then you get to go to cool courses, like I've been to the Army Deception Planner course and the Military Deception Planner course, and those bring unique opportunities in and of themselves that are pretty fun to do. Yeah. So it was a happenstance that my old recruiter was in there and reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want you to come over." And I'm like, "I'm in."
Yeah. So I always ask this question with our traditional guardsmen because we do find a lot of crossover and a lot of skills that translate or, that make us unique. Do you think your military career helped kind of change your civilian career in a way?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the only reason I was able to switch. I have my master's in public safety administration, executive police administration. Straight up, my longtime goal was, become a chief of police or a sheriff for a county somewhere. But the experience I gained in IO, specifically doing psychological operations, is very much a hybrid of product management and program management, where you're leading from ideation all the way through implementation and evaluation of large-scale products and programs across geographical regions. Everything from target audience analysis and working up your product development all the way through that. You're able to do that, and utilizing those stories and those experiences is how I gained that civilian job. So 100% would not have got it without my experience in the Guard.
Yeah. So when you're at work, do you find some of your skills in the Guard that translate into your day-to-day?
Yeah. The language, you have to kind of change the language a little bit, right, for the private side. But no, it's when a firestorm happens at work and people are running around with their hair on fire. I've gone through other things. I'm not getting shot at. I'm not getting injured. And so that comes from the law enforcement side too, but from the Guard as well is, the minor things that can get a lot of people riled up. It's very easy to stay calm through. Yeah. Because it's not as big of a deal because you've experienced something a lot more stressful and a lot more impactful. So I think that, and then the ability to communicate with leaders. So a lot of people have a hard time when they go into the private side being able to talk up to leadership, and because it's a very flat organization where if I have an idea and you're the CEO, I better be telling the CEO what the idea is because that's my job, right? I'm feeding those things up the chain. From briefing 4-star generals, Secretary of Defenses, ambassadors, I'm able to have those communications with leadership in a very natural way that a lot of people that are just out of college or, have no prior experience doing something like that are really challenged by.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side, do you find there are times that your civilian career has helped in your Guard side?
Oh, absolutely. And so systems automations and streamlining of work, which is a little hard to do in the military, as we all know, has really risen from it. And a lot of that going back towards really on the IO side, we really dig into measures of performance and measures of effectiveness. Well, historically, I've even been pretty bad about really documenting what my metrics were for our impacts. And after working on the private side where your job is metrics, your job is impact, and really understanding and be able to communicate those. Bringing that back to the Guard side has really helped me on a few of our missions, and then our overseas training exercises with bilateral and multilateral countries. So
yeah, no, that you hit it right there. I mean, measures of performance, measures of effectiveness. Always preached about, but how do you actually figure out what it is that's doing? So no, that's good. That's good to have that kind of background. Let's say there's somebody, watching right now, and they kind of work in your same field on the civilian side, and they're like, hey, I'm really interested in the Guard. It'd be nice to have a change of pace every once in a while. What do they need to know to like kind of jump into that field?
Well, so the best part about the Guard, and I wasn't expecting to stay in the whole time, right? I was kind of just bridging that gap before I could become a police officer, is that we have programs and opportunities that allow you to further your education for free or very cheaply. We have programs through COOL where you're able to get your PMP, your project manager professional certificate, which is a very expensive, time-consuming process on the civilian side. We're able to do that through the Guard and really increase your business, survivability, your business rigor through those programs. And then the practice that you get month in and month off through drill, through exercises that allow you to stretch those brain cells and really practice those activities in a new way, because your scenario changes, your mission changes, allows you to really think outside the box and stretch those legs.
Yeah, which is great. Now, kind of on the flip side, let's say there's a Guardsman who's watching and they're like, hey, I'm really interested in being part of your team or working in that kind of field. What do they need to know to make that switch over to that kind of career field?
You have experiences in the Guard that are absolutely translatable into the private sector. The hard part is, being confident, knowing what you did, and then being able to translate that over. The wording matters. We use a lot of big words in the Guard and in the military that you don't really need to do. But once you understand that translation, it's very easy to understand, okay, no, I'm absolutely looking at key performance indicators, KPIs. You're absolutely looking at OKRs. You're absolutely looking at these big time business metrics that they talk about all the time. We just call them different things.
Yep.
So you have the experience in the Guard. It brings it out. Be confident. Work with someone that you know to really work on that translation, and you'll absolutely succeed.
Yeah. No, love it. Anything else? I love that you're wearing your Disney polo today. Your LinkedIn says Disney Dad. And I originally came to you and I said, Disney Dad, well, let's talk, because my wife and I are big Disney fans too. And we could probably talk Disney for a whole episode, but we won't go into that. Anything else, though, that we...
No, it's just, I'll briefly say it is one of the best kept secrets. We have an MWR resort on Disney World property, and we get about 50% off on our Disney World tickets.
There you go.
So absolutely another benefit of joining the Guard.
Yeah, there you go. Well, hey, if you're interested in learning more about what an IO practitioner does, what Craig here does on the civilian side, we can definitely put information in the notes. You can contact us. If you like the video, give us a like. If you want to learn more about what the Guard's doing, you can subscribe to the channel. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you very much.